I'm Sue Webber, and I've been running a local group for the last 4 years or so. We're a toad patrol, and there are lots of toad patrols in Surrey. We're in Staines. We put on fluorescent jackets, we have our buckets. I've got a notepad here where I'm taking a note of how many toads we find in an evening, and those records will go to the Surrey Amphibian and Reptile Group, who coordinate all the toad crossings in Surrey. On a mild, moist night at this time of year, we can get between 20 and 70. The most we've had is 78 toads from one night's crossing.
Why are they crossing the road?
Well, toads don't live in ponds, they live in gardeny type habitats, but when the call comes to mate at the beginning of the year, they come out of hibernation and they just head straight to the pond they were born in. They're very faithful to the pond they were born in, and the girls are a bit bigger than the boys when they're mature, and the boys will hop on their back and hold onto them tight, so you get pairs of them crossing across this road, and they get stuck at these great big curbs. The curbs are about that high here. We've just got our first pair of toads of the night. Mike has found them here. We've got a lovely girl with a boy riding on her back, so they're probably heading to the pond to mate, and we know that she'll be at least 7 years old, because she's had to spend 7 years getting fat enough to be ready to reproduce. So far it's been very quiet, but it's quite early. It's only about 6:30. It's dry, it's mild. The toads start moving when it's about 5 degrees. If it gets much colder, they'll stop again. By about 7:30, 8 o'clock, the place could be crawling in toads.
It's been a fairly quiet night so far, but it's starting to pick up. We're getting a few pairs and a few singles moving to and from the pond.
What time are you going to be here till tonight?
Probably till about 9 o'clock. That's kind of time when it tends to tail off a bit. It doesn't kick off till about 6:30 in the evening, so two and a half hours hits the peak of the crossings.
And how many toads have you rescued so far?
So far tonight I think we're up to about a dozen. I hope to probably triple that in a good evening. Now most of them have actually laid their spawn in the pond. The females are heading back into the gardens to dig themselves into the soil again. The local residents here are great. They're trying to organise a toad crossing sign. That would be very excellent to have, to get drivers to be aware. Anyone can look at it, especially if you do have a pond in your garden and you've seen evidence of toad or frog spawn. We moved frogs as well. Just to be careful when you're gardening, particularly in that vicinity, because they may be dug in and you won't see them until you hit them with a trowel.
And it's very important not to move the spawn, isn't it?
That's right, absolutely. There are a number of diseases, unfortunately, that are one of the things that's hitting the numbers. And if you move spawn from one pond to another, you may take the disease into an uninfected pond.
I've lived down there for how long now? Nearly 40 years, and there used to be so many on here that it was like a sea of them. But as a kid I used to collect buckets of them and we'd be passing them back over.
Yeah. So they're good neighbours then, the toads?
Yeah, without a doubt,
we love them.
It makes a road really, because it's always been there since I was a kid, so yeah, we love the toads.
We love them.